The blue checkmark glows on your primary monitor. The tweet is live for exactly 42 seconds. You finally see the error in the second line. It was meant to be a minor adjustment. Instead, you added an extra zero to the debt. $1 million in liability became $10 million. Your stomach drops into your cheap office chair. You wait for the entire building to scream. Nothing happens for a full minute in Midtown. Then, the red ticker on your screen moves. High-frequency trading algorithms do not read for context. They scan keywords and specific numbers in milliseconds. A server farm in New Jersey saw your post. It triggered an automatic sell-off in 3 stocks. The S&P 500 dips by 0.02% instantly. It is a $1 million swing in market cap. You see the red candles on the chart. Your hands shake as you delete the post. You fix the typo and hit send again. You wait for the SEC to call you. 30 minutes later, the managing director walks in. He wears a suit that costs your salary. He looks at the corrected tweet on his phone. You prepare your apology and your resignation letter. He taps the screen and gives you a nod. He says, the engagement numbers are remarkably high. He does not mention the dip or the error. He says the volatility created a buying opportunity. He calls it a clever piece of tactical PR. You realize the truth is secondary to the noise. 6 months later, you are lead on the account. You have learned how to handle the machine. In this office, accuracy is just a suggestion. The market does not trade on your spreadsheets. It trades on the perception of those numbers. If the lie moves the needle, it is useful. If the truth is quiet, it is garbage. You stop checking the footnotes in the files. You start focusing on how the headlines feel. The first rule, the illusion of accuracy, is more profitable than the truth. 2 years later, you're in the room where the real math happens. You are no longer the kid hitting send on a social media account. You are now an associate at a top-tier investment firm. Your salary has doubled, but your sleep has vanished. You sit in a glass office on the 42nd floor. You manage a small team of 3 hungry analysts. They look at you with the same fear you once felt. You're reviewing the quarter-end balance sheet for a major client. Your job is to make the ugly parts look pretty. The spreadsheet on your center monitor is massive. You notice a $50 million discrepancy in the current liabilities. It is a hole in the ship that no one noticed. You call your senior vice president on the secure line. You explain the risk and the SEC reporting requirements. You mention that the leverage ratios are dangerously high. He does not look up from his Bloomberg terminal. He tells you to make it disappear by Friday, not to delete it, but to move it away. You open a new folder on the encrypted server. This is where creative accounting becomes a high-stakes art form. You set up a series of temporary sale and repurchase agreements. In the industry, they call this a Repo 105 transaction. You move the debt to a shell company in Delaware. For 72 hours, the liability is legally gone. The balance sheet looks clean for the public filing. You are essentially hiding a fire behind a very expensive curtain. The curtain is made of legal jargon and offshore filings. You use a network of special-purpose vehicles. You route the capital through entities in Wilmington. No one asks about the beneficial owners of these shells. You ensure the transaction is classified as a sale. This is how you bypass the federal leverage ratios. You are turning toxic waste into a fresh breeze for investors. Your VP smiles with a sharp, predatory expression. He tells you that the SEC is chronically underfunded. They are looking for easy targets, not complex structures. Do you want the career or the moral high ground? You realize the system is built on these hidden curtains. You hit save on the modified financial model. You feel a cold weight in your chest today, but you also see your year-end bonus calculation. The machine requires grease to keep moving forward. Sometimes that grease is a $50 million lie. If the regulator cannot see it, it does not exist. The second rule, proximity to capital, is proximity to power. 5 years have passed since that first glitch. You are now a vice president of structured products. The lukewarm coffee is a distant memory. You drink vintage Bordeaux in East Hampton now. Your bonus last year bought the beach house, but the $50 hole followed you here. It did not stay buried in Delaware. Like a biological virus, it mutated and grew. It is now a $500 systemic liability. It is hidden inside a complex CDO. You have sliced the risk into 1,000 tranches. You have sold the illusion of safety to everyone. It is Saturday night at a private gala. The air smells like salt and expensive perfume. You see the CEO of a rival bank. He asks about your firm's current liquidity levels. You smile and offer him a premium cigar. You are not selling him a financial product. You are selling him a carefully crafted lie. You suggest a strategic partnership on a new fund. You use synthetic swaps to move the risk. You are infecting his balance sheet to save yours. You are exporting the fire before the alarm rings. Then the numbers start to leak out. Not from New York, but from Zurich. The contagion moves faster than your digital model. You realize the entire global system is linked. If one major bank falls, every bank dies. This is what they call being too interconnected to fail. You do not feel guilt for the retail investors. You only feel the cold adrenaline of the play. You're using informational leverage to stay ahead. You're moving the toxic debt like a ghost. You're praying the music doesn't stop tonight. At this level, math is just a weapon. You realize that capital does not follow logic. It follows the powerful people in this room. The relationship is the only real asset left. You toast to another quarter of record growth. The 500 nanometer hole is still buried under layers. It sits beneath a mountain of global counterparties. You are the one holding the gold shovel. No one asks about the human cost here. They only ask about the next quarterly dividend. You watch the fireworks over the dark Atlantic. You have successfully made the crisis someone else's problem. The second rule, capital follows proximity. You are standing in the Hay Adams Hotel. You look out at the White House. The view is clear and cold today. Your problem has outgrown the trading floor. The 500 Bamlerm hole is now 2B. Mathematical tricks in Delaware cannot save you. You need the people who print the money. You are waiting for a senior senator. He arrives 30 minutes late for dinner. He doesn't apologize for the delay. He knows you need his signature. You are both part of the same club. The steak arrives, but no one eats. You hand him a confidential one-page memo. You do not use the word crisis. You call it a liquidity management event. You explain the risk to the pension funds. If your firm collapses, the voters suffer. If the voters suffer, he loses power. This is the ultimate form of leverage. He looks at the White House window. He asks if the Treasury is aware. You tell him they are waiting for him. He nods and makes a single call. The phone rings at midnight. The secretary is on the line. He asks for the total number. You say $2 billion. The line goes silent for 10 seconds. Then he gives the verbal order. The emergency window is now open. The taxpayer will provide the backstop. No one will go to jail today. The fire is officially extinguished by policy. You feel a strange, hollow victory. Your bonus is safe for another year. The system has protected its own heart. At the director level, you learn. The law is not a fixed wall. It is a series of adjustable gates. You realize that regulators are future colleagues. They don't want to break the machine. They want to sit in your chair. This is what they call regulatory capture. The watcher and the watched are one. You are no longer just a banker. You are an architect of the state. The machine takes a massive step forward. The fourth rule, proximity to power is the final hedge. You are a partner in the firm now. $10 billion is the final ghost number. It is not a simple accounting error anymore. You sit in a private jet cabin today. The Atlantic Ocean looks very small from here. You are flying toward the Cayman Islands now. You must make the invisible hole permanent tonight. The sun shines on the deep blue water. You hold the future of the global empire. The entire glass tower depends on your silence. You drink a very expensive scotch in silence. You look at the thick stacks of papers. You use a network of tiered holding companies. Grand Cayman is the heart of the operation. Thousands of entities exist only on paper here. There is no corporate tax on these shores. You move the capital into 5 separate funds. Each fund is owned by a blind trust. The ultimate beneficial owner is a coded string. You leverage the secrecy laws of the islands. The regulators have no jurisdiction in this zone. You are effectively removing the debt from reality. You sign the documents with a gold pen. The local lawyers do not ask any questions. They only care about the wire transfer fees. The balance sheet finally looks like a masterpiece. At this level, you own the entire board. You don't manage money. You manage the truth. You look at the audit trail you created. It is a masterpiece of complex legal engineering. No human can trace the original source now. The whole is hidden behind a digital wall. You realize you have become the system itself. You are the architect of a silent empire. Nobody asks you about the human cost anymore. Your word is the only law that matters. You watch the sunset from the beach club. You feel the cold weight of absolute power. You are the king of a fake world. Reality is not a set of hard numbers. It is a consensus among the powerful elite. If everyone agrees, the debt is totally gone. The market only sees what you show it. You control the flow of all critical information. This is the highest level of the game. You don't fear the truth, you define it. You are the ghost in the global machine. The machine provides wealth for the loyal few. The ultimate rule, reality is a total consensus. You are finally ready for the final stage. The news finally hits the ticker at 9:01 a.m. The $10 billion ghost has escaped the digital machine. The public is screaming for blood in Zuccotti Park. You sit in your corner office and watch CNBC. The board of directors is panicking in the hallway. They don't want a scapegoat to offer the mob. They want the person who can hide the bodies. You are the only architect who knows the path. You realize you are officially too dangerous to fail. You fly to Washington for the televised hearing. The room is heavy with cameras and political theater. Senators point fingers and talk about the American dream. You provide 30 boxes of dense, incomprehensible legal filings. You speak in a cold, monotone voice about derivatives. You use the term unforeseen liquidity constraints 10 times. They cannot find a single law you actually violated. The laws were written by the lobbyists you hired. The hearing ends with a private, polite dinner later. No one mentions the taxpayers or the lost pensions. 2 weeks later, the firm files for Chapter 11. The employees lose their 401ks in the fire. The retail shareholders are wiped out by the crash. You receive a private wire for $20 million. It is officially labeled as a necessary retention bonus. The board promotes you to the chief risk officer. You are now the hand that guides the restructuring. You have transitioned from a simple player to the house. You decide which creditors get paid and who starves. The public anger moves on to the next crisis. At this final level, you understand the machine. Failure is only a concept for the lower levels. For you, a crisis is just a rebranding opportunity. You have seen the abyss and you own it. The system protects the parts that keep it moving. You are now the most vital part of all. There is no guilt left in your cold chest. There is only the calculation of the next move. You look at the city from your new office. The seventh rule: the person who knows the secrets owns the room. The sun still hasn't risen over Midtown Manhattan. It is 4:12 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Thousands of fresh analysts join Wall Street every year. These hiring numbers remain constant despite every major crisis. The system does not care about his individual errors. It only cares about the total momentum of capital. The 10 billion hole is gone from reality. You turn off the light in the corner office. You are no longer afraid of the invisible ghosts. You are the architect of the silent consensus now.